Have you ever had to write a paper for school and you thought you did really, really well, and then you got it back from the teacher and there was like red markings everywhere? You did this wrong and you misspelled this and that comma doesn't belong there and this doesn't make any sense, or your introduction is all wrong. Like, that's frustrating. And yet that's exactly what happened with section 1 of Doctrine and Covenants. On this first episode, we're going to talk about what's the Doctrine and Covenants and where did section 1 come from. As you know, just like the Bible and the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants is another set of scripture for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the reason it's called Doctrine and Covenants is because it was originally 2 sections. The first section was the Doctrine section, which was made up of a group of lectures by Joseph Smith called the Lectures of Faith. And then the Covenant section, which was all the revelations that Joseph Smith received. Eventually, the church took out the Lectures of Faith and made it its own separate thing, and we're left with just the Covenant section, but we kept the name. This was actually not the very first revelation that Joseph Smith had. He had dictated already about 65 sections of the Doctrine and Covenants as we know it now. So most of the church members did not have access to copies of these revelations. And so Joseph Smith kind of brought together a conference and wanted to see if it was possible or if anybody wanted them to put these revelations together in a book. They had tried to do it before. It was called the Book of Commandments, but then a mob came in and kind of ruined their plans for that. At this conference, though, they decided, yeah, let's do it, and we should probably get together and make an introduction for it. So they got some of the smartest people in the church, William McClellan, Sidney Rigdon, and Oliver Cowdery. They got together and they wrote the introduction. Now, after they were done, they worked hard. They turned it into the conference to have everybody kind of review it, and everybody pulled it apart. They absolutely hated it.
You guys wrote this? The 3 of you?
So what did they do? They turned to Joseph and they're like, what do we do? We tried. Why don't you ask the Lord and you have him tell us what we should do? And so section 1 is the revelation that Joseph Smith received that became the introduction to the Doctrine and Covenants.